Hello and welcome back to episode 680 of the Journey Through Games, playing almost every Super Nintendo game released in Europe and the US, just missing out the sports games, mostly because I've got no real interest in playing sports games. But today we are playing SoulBlazer, which in the era when the internet was young and people found out about video games through magazines, this was considered a bit of a hidden gem. I've heard of it before, and I think, in fact, I have played it on... I'll let you read this text on screen while I talk a bit. I played it in an episode for the Journey Through Games, but for some reason it's not in my spreadsheet, nor is it on my YouTube channel. So I've got a feeling that potentially I did an episode, recorded it, and then may have accidentally deleted it, or maybe if it crashed, then I thought to myself, oh, I'll come back to it at another time, because it's an RPG. If I'd put quite a bit of time into it, recording an episode, and then it crashes, or it didn't record for whatever reason, I wouldn't be so keen to go straight back in and then redo it. So yeah, for whatever reason, I have played this game before, potentially even done an episode on it, but it's not on the YouTube channel, so we're going to do it again. All of a sudden, the king had an idea. He ordered his guards to capture Dr. Leo and bring him to the castle at once. Soon, Dr. Leo was brought to the castle. Just some other things on this game. So, this game, SoulBlazer, Illusion of Gaia, also called Illusion of Time in Europe, and Terranigma, are the three Enix RPGs on the Super Nintendo. I used to own on the Super Nintendo Illusion of Time. It was one of the few sort of Super Nintendo games that I actually owned, and it has a nostalgic element to me, or for me, because of that. I do really like it. I've played it in the years since. I never actually completed it. I've got very far, very close to completing it, but I've never just completed it for whatever reason. Terranigma I'd never played prior to starting the Journey Through Games, but there is a video of it on this channel, and in fact I think I did really enjoy it. And then there's this game, which I believe I've played in some form recently, possibly as part of this channel or possibly not. We'll see. Once I actually start playing it, I might realise that, oh, I've just got confused. I've played Illusion of Time and Terranigma, but never actually SoulBlazer. But we're about to find out. So, also, I think it's worth talking a little bit about the idea of a hidden gem in the sort of era of YouTube and the internet, when everything is so well researched, and there's so many content creators out there putting videos on. You can't really say anything is a hidden gem anymore, because almost every game, probably there's almost likely guaranteed to be a video about it on YouTube, where somebody goes into detail as a retrospective and says how good it is, if it's good. But like I said, this and Illusion of Time were probably some of the legit hidden gems from back in the day, before the internet. A voice came from above. My follower, and more so, they were hidden gems that when retro video gaming YouTube was in its infancy, these games were often brought out as examples of games that people don't know very much about, but are very good. They're all action RPGs, I believe, similar to Zelda. My follower, since you will be able to speak with all living things, you should have a name. Please choose a name for yourself. You know what? After I gave all that talk about me playing it, potentially not recording the episode or deleting the episode by accident, this doesn't immediately seem familiar. So maybe I did get confused between this and Terranigma. Jutka, what an interesting name. Alright, go and save the world for all creatures. Okay, that is. So have I got a sword? Okay. Yeah, Judga received the Sword of Life. Weapon. Sword of Life. Oh, I was thinking he did different attacks depending on which direction he was facing, but no, it's just they've accounted for the change in direction, which is pretty cool. Oh, gosh. Was I supposed to... Oh. I used to live up in the sky, just like you. Now I am living on Earth, away from the Master. All the creatures that have been captured by death toll are sealed away in monster lairs. Just as you have set me free, you must free everyone, even the release of a small tree or creature. They will aid you in your quest. Here, take this. Jutka received the Flame Ball magic. Now I will join you. I am a magician, so I can use all types of magic. I will use my skill to help you. Remember this. I need gems in order to use magic. When you set me free, the monsters left some small spheres of gold. This is what a gem looks like. Alright, let's work together to revive the world. We must go to the Grass Valley Shrine. Okay, what's this all about? Ah! Oh, okay. I've used my gem. That one attack. So that thing there is actually a party member. That's interesting. And very different. A voice came from above. Record. See, the font is very reminiscent of Illusion of Time. I'm going to refer to it Illusion of Time because that's what it was called when I played it, because I'm from Europe. Yeah, the font is very similar. The way the save works, it refers to it as recording. Gives me very Illusion of Time vibes, and that's the one that I've played the most. So it's probably also very similar to Terranigma. But Illusion of Time, like I said, is the one I've played most, so that's the one I can most relate things back to. So playing it so far, I'm going to take back what I said. I don't think I have played this before. It's not instantly striking me as being familiar. Maybe I was thinking of Terranigma. Heard a small voice. There are many creatures being held in the underground castle. If you can release those creatures, the village will be reconstructed. Okay. Okay. Is this the grass thing shrine? What did he say? It was like the short grass shrine or something? Ah, you can't, like... Ah, yeah. Yes, you can. That's what you want. Okay, so is that kind of going to be a pretty common mechanic then? There's like a monster spawner. I have to kill all the monsters. Oh no. Oh, okay. So it's this button. Oh no. You've got to time it when he's even that little sound effect as well, it reminds me of Illusion of Time. Judka released an old woman. Oh wow, okay. You hear a sigh coming from inside the house. Okay, I do. Oh, that's good. So I was thinking that I'd have to go out and come back in every time I release someone, but no, I don't. That's good. I'm also interested to whether Illusion of Time, what order they were released in. Was Terranigma the last one? Because I believe Terranigma felt just a little bit... This feels a bit more... What's the word? Archaic? Is that the word? Just in the way it looks, and... I'm starting to get the impression that the mechanics are pretty straightforward, like this constant... There's a monster spawner, you destroy all the monsters, you step on it, and then it unlocks progression. That just seems a little bit simple. Let's... Oh, blimey. Item. Your HP will be refilled if you... Okay. I wonder how many gems it uses to do one... Judga heard a faint voice coming from the jewel in the right corner. Alright, come over here. I will give you some advice. Don't forget to equip the things that you wish to use or they will not work. Judga received XP. Would you like to return to the Grass Valley? No, I'm going to stay here. Come back whenever you feel like returning to the Grass Valley. Okay. That's good. That's useful to have. Finally got it. That was quite... Aiming them with that soul thing that's constantly floating around is not easy. Not the easiest thing in the world. It could be easier. Okay, I think I've explored all that way. Let's go this way. Yeah, it just feels a little bit more... It feels a little bit simpler. It looks a little bit simpler. And just gives me that impression that it was the one... It was the... It gives me the vibe of being the first of those 3 games. I released the tool shop owner. Okay, cool. Nice. So it's hard for these 16-bit RPGs to stand out nowadays. Playing this so far, it seems 12 gems. Okay, does that mean there's a boss coming up and I've got to? got to use them. So yeah, what I was saying is, they're like back in the day, this would have stood out because there weren't RPGs that we weren't sort of in a glut of RPGs, you know, that I think came about with the success of Final Fantasy in general on the Super Nintendo, and then especially on the PlayStation 1. When that came out, I think everyone realised then that JRPGs were awesome, and that making them could make you a lot of money. So, but prior to that kind of realization, we weren't drowning in RPGs. I think on the console it would be interesting to do kind of a breakdown of the different genres on the different genres on the Super Nintendo, just to see how many of each one. My guess and gut feeling is that it would be predominantly platformers. I think that's because that's what was very popular on the NES, and kind of side-scrolling platformers, and then a little bit of RPGs. So you had the Final Fantasy stuff. Oh gosh. On the NES that were successful, and then you also had sports games as well. But yeah, my gut, and then I think that kind of changed as we moved to the N64 and PS1 era. Sorry, I think the N64 had quite a few 3D platformers. That was kind of the new thing with Super Mario 64. But the PlayStation 1, I think, Final Fantasy 7 was so successful that there was a lot of people emulating that or trying to. So anyway, yeah, what I was saying is now, like a decent RPG, it just doesn't stand out. Like, so this is like an like an okay 16-bit RPG. Do not rush. Oh no, have I gotta go? Am I back here all the way? Oh, I am. I'm right back here. So, have I even freed anyone? Let's see. Ah, that's good. Okay, I am still making progress. That's good. That is, because that's something that would frustrate me in the current era, is like where the games, they just don't respect the player's time, because I guess they were made at a time when, well, as a kid you've got loads of time to play games, you know. Your time is not as valuable as it is when you get older. So if this, for example, all my progress that I'd made previously just got wiped because I'd not saved it, that would be a kick in the dick. Level up. Oh yeah, that's what we want. Let's just pause it. Underground Castle, West, Monster Lair. The remaining 6 of them. Got to go and let Mr. Whiskers in. There you go, Mr. Whisker. Right. Let's crack on. Shall we? Underground Castle. So I wonder if there's a way of kind of slowing down his constant rotating around me, that magician ally. So anyway, yeah, I was saying, it is hard for these games to stand out. I do think that some of the modern RPGs are much better at respecting the player's time. They're not always perfect at it, like Persona, for example, I think. Is a game that it wants you to spend 100 hours getting to know the characters, and I'm like, no, I want it to be over by hour 40, and the game's just like, no, we don't work like that, son. Mr. Whiskers, you... My cat just getting in the way. Oh, the dream rod. Oh, pressed it again. Wonder what... Okay, that's armor. Item. A strange stick that enables you to look into a dream. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think what I'm kind of getting at is... it's hard to... If we judge these games by... or try to judge them by how they would have been, how I would have received them back in 1993, you come up with a different opinion on them than if you try to judge them by, not by modern standards, but in 2024, for example, because the gaming landscape is very different. And I would say that there's a lot of things now which are common that would have had a novelty value back then, both in like RPGs but also in lots of other genres as well. Like kind of a good classic example for me that stands out is GoldenEye on the N64. I mean, when that was released, I don't think that, like, if you didn't have a PC, you probably hadn't played as well. In fact, I don't think I hadn't played a 3D first-person shooter until I played GoldenEye. And even then, if you had a PC, you couldn't just have like a normal one. You'd have to have like for the time, a pretty good one. So what I'm getting at is that had like a novelty to it, which kind of helped the perception of the game, I think. So yeah, and as it relates back to this game, this now feels very formulaic already. Like that, I'm figuring out there's 2 more monster layers remaining. I'm going to be walking around. I'll probably die again, come back to life. Luckily, I won't lose all of my progress. In fact, is there an opportunity to go up here and save? Because this has brought us back to the beginning. Yeah, formulaic, and I don't know if I'd have played it back in 1993. Obviously, I would have been younger, but also less experienced with video games. So, oh damn, I didn't realise that. I thought that was just a puddle. Like, so the meta would have been less obvious to me, and I don't know if I would have been instantly as aware of the sort of repetitive nature of this game straight away. I don't know, and I think that would have sort of, not knowing that and not seeing it instantly, would have softened my view on the game, because I would have, yeah, they do start as puddles. Look. I would have been like, oh wow, this is. I'd be so taken up with all the other stuff, the things that the game does really well. Well, this not does really well, but the things that the game is doing well rather than sort of seeing the way the sausage is made. So yeah, I think where I'm coming down on this is, I think it is a decent discovery. I think if I'd have played this back when the Super Nintendo was a current console, I would have really enjoyed it. But now, playing it as a 30-something with 2 decades of gaming experience, playing RPGs, playing all sorts of things, it's lost a little bit of its luster, I would say. And also as well, partly because the game is 21 years old. Yeah, 1993. It's so hard to turn. So yeah, the times have changed, and this, as it would have been perceived in 1993, is not how you'd see it today. So you've got to take all those things into account. I guess this is just kind of me rambling as I'm playing at the same time and talking about, I am an elevator invented by Dr. Leo. I cannot move unless the water mill is turning. Okay, so now is this chance to go out of the dungeon and back to this town that I've brought back to life. So yeah, I'm just kind of waxing lyrical, I think, a bit about the difficulty and the nuance of judging retro games in the modern day, how difficult that is. And oh god, I fell for it again. Just the different nuanced things to think about. And I guess there's broadly 2 ways of doing it. You can look at it as it is today, or you can look at it from the point of view of how you think you would have received it back in the time it was released. And I don't really know if there's a right or a wrong answer. Probably not. I hear there is a man in the mill who runs the elevator in the underground castle. Yeah, that's exactly what I've come out here for. Oh, that's quite cool. I like the way it does that. That is cool. Just on that topic of judging sort of retro games or how to judge retro games. For me, my husband used to, I'll just read this. Village chief, one day he suddenly disappeared along with the other villagers. I feel so lonely. How about being one of my children? Yeah, okay. I'll call you Jutka from now on. Well, that is my name. Use the 2nd floor as your own room. Well, that was easy. Doing nothing? I'm beginning to worry about you. Please stay here and rest. That was a bit weird, wasn't it? Is that chair moving? Yeah, it is. So I'm about to go on and talk a little bit about... he used to sit and rock here for hours. I wonder when he's going to come back. I'm going to talk a bit about Ocarina of Time. So that's a game on the N64 that has a lot of nostalgia for me. And if you look at sort of greatest games of all time, that will probably feature somewhere quite near the top. And one of like kind of my sadnesses is that I'll never be able to play it again for the first time. Because for me anyway, I've played it so many times. I'm so familiar with the dungeons and the layout of everything, that initial sense of adventure that I got when I first played it, I can't get that back, and I haven't been able to get that back in any of the Zelda games really that I've played since probably the last one that felt a little bit like it would have been Twilight Princess, and I played that not straight afterwards. I played that on the Wii U, the HD version. You received a medical herb, thank you. Let me just... So, yeah, and I think partly the issue with that is that when that game was released, it was so new, at least to me, in terms of the way it looked. It was a 3D adventure game. I didn't have Super Mario 64 first, even though that was the launch title. I got Ocarina of Time. I had GoldenEye and some other things, maybe 1080, snowboarding. So that was the first kind of 3D adventure world, kind of open world stylish game that I ever played. So I think that had a big impact on me. And it was, at the time as well, 3D games were in their infancy, and it was the first one, along with Super Mario 64, to sort of do it really well, and solve a lot of the issues, or kind of mitigate a lot of the potential issues that 3D games could have, primarily the camera and how to control the camera. And in that game they did it by kind of taking the camera control away from you, pretty much, or giving you very limited control. Anyway, what I was sort of getting at is that I think part of the reason why Ocarina of Time is so well regarded is because it was new and fresh, and it did something that nothing else up until that point had done, which was that whole it did such a good job of creating a 3D world, of creating a sense of adventure. And one of the issues now is, if even me, I really like that game, have a lot of nostalgia for it, if I go back to playing it, it's hard for me to, it doesn't grab me in the same way that it did in 1998 or whenever it was released. So I'm probably not going to sit through and put 30 or 40 hours, well, no, it's not that long, maybe 20 or 30 hours in to complete it. Same with Majora's Mask. And it's kind of a little bit my fault, but also a little bit, the times have changed, that the thing, Ocarina of Time, I guess looking back on it, is a victim of its own success, in that it's been done so many times. It was done so well and so popular and so successful that it spawned so many imitators that a lot of the times, since its release, I have played that game so many times now in different formats. It's the language of Ocarina of Time is so prevalent in 3D adventure games, and that's not even talking about how consistent it is between the 3D Zelda games, basically from Ocarina of Time right the way through to Skyward Sword. And obviously Skyward Sword tried to change it, and then they absolutely completely changed everything with Breath of the Wild. I guess it's not really necessary to guard such a small bridge. Please pass. Okay, so that's kind of me rambling on. For me, Ocarina of Time is one of the big examples of for where it's most obvious how difficult it is to assess retro games accurately or fairly, because I still don't know. Do you judge that game? Because there's probably a lot of people who play it for the first time today in 2024, see it on the top of, let's say, in the top 5 of best games of all time, and then they just don't get it. They don't understand it, and I think part of that is, so it might be that the game isn't for them, but part of it is because its position on that list being so high is because it was one of the first ones to do it so well, and it's that the things that it did first are no longer novel or new. That's just how things are done now. So yeah, and I think that when I've played a lot of these games as part of this journey through games thing, that's something I've seen quite a lot. There's a lot of ideas that I've seen in modern games that I've been able to sort of kind of witness the genesis of in the 16-bit era. And yeah, also it makes me think about kind of when I'm dismissing some of these games that I can't even tolerate for 10 minutes. If I would have thought differently back in 1993 or 1994 or back in the day. Probably, undoubtedly, I would have in some cases, but I think generally first impressions are a pretty good indicator for myself. Like, if I might have given a game a little bit more of a chance back in the day. Obviously, if only just because I wouldn't have had as much choice as we have today. Like, obviously now in 2024, just a quick Google search and you've pretty much got access to almost every Super Nintendo game ever made, in English, Japanese, all different kinds of languages, and probably with fan translations abundantly available as well. So that obviously diminishes a little bit of their value. You know, if you got this in 1993 when it was released, I think, and it was like a game you got for Christmas or your birthday, that might be, for me, like one of only 2 new games that I would get that year, and I'd have to, if I wanted something else in between, I'd probably have to trade this in. And then they kind of, it was more of a rare occurrence to get new games on the Super Nintendo, games that were at least new to me. So it had more value, and obviously that's gone now with the abundance and the ease with which you can get hold of Super Nintendo games now, and even just modern games. You know, like when you're an adult and you've got a little bit of disposable income, video games are not especially if you buy them second hand, they're not the most expensive commodity that you could spend your money on. You know, when you can buy a video game for 20 quid and it cost me like 30 quid for a pair of jeans. Yeah. Rotating this wheel will move the elevator in the underground castle. I am too weak to turn this wheel. Will you do it for me? Yeah, go on then. Yes, Judge turned the wheel. As the wheel started to turn, power was transmitted to the underground castle. Okie dokie. So, yeah, that's kind of... Oh no, wonder I was turning it the wrong way. By the way, don't you think this watermill is great? Yeah. So, I do like that effect when you go in and out of the houses, the way it doesn't transition screen, it just takes the roof off the house. And there is there's a bit of a loading delay, but on the whole I quite like that. Let's just go, because I believe I've got my first piece of armour. I have. So yeah, that was me kind of rambling on about just my thoughts on. I'll probably do a summary video at the end of the journey through games, and I'll talk in a bit more detail, or not in a bit more detail, but I'll probably write a script that articulates my thoughts and feelings in a more coherent manner instead of doing it off the cuff. I'm not as gifted as Chael Sonnen when it comes to speaking off the cuff and like adequately expressing my feelings in an elegant and a way that feels accurate to how I feel in my head. They kind of have to go through a translation process of my thoughts, like what's in my head, and then like what actually comes out of my mouth, and they're not always in perfect harmony. But that's why you can take time, and I suppose one of the benefits of writing a script and then delivering it as if you are just reading it, you are just speaking off the cuff. Okay, there's an old man. Right, I'll go and visit him in a bit. So, is there any more? There's 0 monster layers remaining. Wait, hold on. No. Oh, okay, so this is where... So seeing that 15 number is instantly given me a little bit of fatigue. Like, fatigue is starting to set in, like, oh, are you serious? There's going to be 15 more of these things. And you've got to, like, position yourself exactly over it to do it. So yeah, that feeling there instantly of seeing that 15, you know, back in the day, if this was like one of the first sort of action adventure RPGs I'd ever played, I probably wouldn't feel the same when I saw that 15. I'd be like, oh, you know, let's say if one of my friends came round and I got this game for my birthday and like we were going to spend all night sort of playing it, I would probably be a lot more positive on it. Oh no. Who was that I released? You hear some light snoring coming from inside the house. Okay. Tulip. Did I die? Oh, no. Oh, no, I've not used up my medical herb. I thought I'd used up my... Oh, they always get me. And so, actually, on that topic of, like, the way I perceive Ocarina of Time now in 2024 versus how I felt playing it for the first time in, I believe it was 1998 or something like that, somewhere around then. I wonder if I'll feel the same way about things like Dark Souls and Elden Ring and Bloodborne, especially games that, because they're the ones that have provided me with that feeling that I got when I played Zelda for the first time. And I think a large part of why they're successful is they were so new. Like when I played Dark Souls 1, Bloodborne was the first Soulsborne game I played. When I first got into it, Bloodborne was the first one that I completed. I did give Dark Souls a go, but I kind of bounced off it hard the first time, and then I ended up playing, really bizarrely, Lords of the Fallen, which was kind of like one of the first Souls imitators, and I actually really got on with that, and I enjoyed it, and I think it was a little bit simpler than Dark Souls, but it kind of served as a reasonable introduction to the Souls formula. And then I went into Bloodborne, and I started to see a little bit of the meta and understand kind of how the game was structured, and I got absolutely sucked in with Bloodborne. It is probably one of my all-time greats. It has influenced me so much, and I think it's even influenced Miyazaki in, like, you know, when you look at the Dark Souls game or the Soulsborne games, there's like a very clear games that came before Bloodborne, for me at least, and games that came after Bloodborne. So yeah, I could talk about that, I think, because that's another conversation topic. But yeah, they're games that are more recent, which I feel similar to, in the same way that I remember feeling about Ocarina of Time, and I feel towards them. So yeah, I wonder if in the future I will look back and be like, no, they're really formulaic now, and you know, kind of that sense of adventure that I got initially, you know, because I didn't understand kind of the mechanics or how the game was structured. It wasn't obvious to me when I played Bloodborne, or even Dark Souls. It wasn't their structure. But now I've played enough of it. I've played all of them. I've not completed Elden Ring or Dark Souls 2 or Sekiro, but I played a lot of Dark Souls 2. I played like 30 hours of it, and I just got bored of it. because it felt like an expansion to Dark Souls 1. And a game which I'd already played like 60 hours of. And then it was saying, oh, here you go, play another 60 hours of a game that's basically the same as the game you've played for 50 hours. Or 40 hours, 60 hours, however long it was. So yeah, Elden Ring is just massive. Like, I've played probably, I think I've played like 50 hours of Elden Ring. I have to check on my PS5 actually. I've played a lot of Elden Ring. But I've not finished it, and I haven't played the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC yet either. Although I do plan to finish it and play the DLC. I've also not played Demon Souls, either the original or the remake. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see if in years to come I'll go back and will I feel the same about Dark Souls, Soulsborne games as I do currently. Because I played Dark Souls probably, it was during COVID. No, sorry, it would have been before COVID. And I played Bloodborne probably the year after it was released, I think. Was it released in 2018? And I played it 2019, something like that. I played it when I think I first heard about the Return to Yharnam thing that the fans do, and I started to play it. I think I was just after I played it. That's probably in October, I think, around Halloween, and I reckon I played. I reckon I played. I reckon I played it. I probably started November time. I just missed it on the PS4. November 2019. Yeah, that feels about right. And I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I got proper hooked. And I even sort of developed my own conspiracy theory about what was going on. A theory which I've not seen anyone else talk about. I'm not saying that it's right. It's probably just like my own headcanon. But that's how deep into it I got. And it was to do with Erden, which is the kind of the invisible. What's his name? The formless one. Formless Erden, is it? Yes. This has also got a little bit of Dark Souls about it. You know, you're opening up shortcuts so that when you die, you've still got progress. That's interesting. Yeah, look, see, I've died, but my progress hasn't been lost. So yeah, kind of, I'm not quite sure what I was talking about there. Bloodborne, yeah, loved it. If I'll go back and will I think of the Soulsborne games kind of how I do about Ocarina of Time, which is that I think it's, for me, a very nostalgic game, and I think it's a really important game in the development of video games. But I wouldn't encourage someone to play it today, you know, unless they're interested to sort of see kind of the historical development of video games. I guess another example would be if somebody's interested in first-person shooters, you're probably not going to recommend them to play Doom, but that doesn't mean that Doom isn't one of the most important first-person shooters of all time, which it is. But again, it's that kind of, it comes back to that, how do you assess retro games? Do you judge it based on if you're kind of looking at it as if you just played it when it was released, you know, because you'd have played Doom for the first time and you'd be like, what is this? There's nothing else like it. Up until that point, I mean, even if kind of one of the assumptions was that video games were for kids, and then you suddenly start playing Doom, where you're shooting cacodemons and imps and blowing them in half with a shotgun, and you'd be like, well, this is clearly not for kids, with like heavy metal music pumping in the background. Or do you assess it, because if you judge Doom by today's standard, there's almost any first person shooter you pull off a shelf is probably going to be better than Doom, the original Doom. Not actually, maybe that's not true. That's not totally true. Actually, I don't think. Doom does still kind of hold up in certain way. I think Wolfenstein kind of holds up. I played that on... I think the SNES version of Wolfenstein is better than the SNES version of Doom. I think they did a much better job of porting Wolfenstein. I think partly because it was a bit of an older game as well, perhaps. The SNES was better able to handle it, whereas Doom was probably more current at the time that the Super Nintendo was released, so it might have pushed the SNES perhaps a bit further beyond its capabilities. Anyway, I've played this game for about an hour now, just coming up for an hour. I really like it. It's a good... In 2024, it's a good game that I could play whilst listening to a podcast. You know, I wouldn't devote all of my time to it, or if I had an audiobook on or something. You know, part of it I've enjoyed just kind of prognosticating and talking about my thoughts on various things. But also the game itself is not overly difficult. Yeah, I like the fact that it respects my time as the player. Like it again, it has that kind of Dark Souls system for recording progress. So it does have a save mechanic, but largely the progress comes down to you defeating these lairs. I think that's what they're called. Essentially, these monster closets, monster trapdoors, and then opening up a shortcut that lets you get back to where you were quicker than you could do previously. So yeah, let's go down here. So how do I get... See, it's got me intrigued now. I've seen that there's like one last lair and a chest, but I don't know how to open it, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back the long way, actually. In fact, going and talking to that woman would actually be further than just going out of the dungeon. Although I could have done it, actually, I could have talked to her the other place where I saw her. So let's go up here. Talk to this. The dream rod you possess is a magical stick that enables you to look into dreams. Equip this stick when you wish to speak with someone who is sleeping. Ah, okay. You look like you would be good at crab walking. Try it. You don't know how? Just walk while pressing either the L or R button. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Yeah, I think I'm happy to put this as a decent discovery, possibly even a hidden gem. You know, it's as a game. Again, it comes back to that. I can't really see myself sitting and playing it for however long it takes to complete it. How about $1 billion plus tax? No. I'll give it to you for free. Jugger received a bag of goat's food. Yeah, just because I don't know, it hasn't grabbed me like that. It's just kind of, it's okay. It's inoffensive to play. In fact, no, that's doing it. That's a bit harsh on it. It's quite enjoyable to play. But it feels like I wouldn't get much out of it for my time investment, which is a way that I look at playing games now, unfortunately. As being an adult, like, I don't have as much free time to devote to playing games as I would like. So I'm looking for things that kind of I can at least take something from the experience. Not because I feel guilty about spending time playing games. It's no different to the way I feel about watching TV series. Like, I want it to be something that's going to make me think, or that's kind of going to have some value because it's so good, rather than it just being like empty calories, you know, just like not even comfort food, just eating for the sake of it, playing games for the sake of it. I want it to actually be a worthwhile experience. Come back later, I'll show you something. Okay, so let's go down here, and I believe if we get this and this, goat's food, we can go here. So this kind of like problem solving, is that the right word for it? Yeah, you know, kind of you get items and you get hints from talking to NPCs, and then you kind of have to go and sort of do a little bit of figuring out for yourself in order to progress. This is the stuff that I really like, and I think it's what Ocarina of Time did really well. And it gives you that sense of adventure when you're presented with like a couple of clues, but you have to figure it out yourself to actually do it. So yeah, even though that was pretty straightforward, but when I was like 11 or so, I don't think it would have been straightforward, you know, not as obvious to me as it is today. Also because I've got a lot of experience of playing video games, so I understand the language of games, in the sense that talking to an NPC and then they say that I can acknowledge that as being a clue or a hint about what to do with the dream rod, even though it didn't explicitly say this is what you can do with. It did actually say that. So yeah, I think when it's done well. These say you must tell everything that you know to the person in front of you. They will also need my paintbrush to continue on. Okay. Is that you, Daddy? Where are you, Daddy? I miss you so much. There was no answer. Yeah, so the dream rod probably wasn't a good example, but a good example, or a better example, would be the goat food. Like, it didn't tell me that I should use it to feed the goats, but you just kind of figure it out, and it didn't tell me where to get it from either. I just kind of looked into it, and then you put two and two together, and you think, oh, I can try and feed that to the goats, and then it gets you something. And kind of like Ocarina of Time was really good at creating that breadcrumb trail. There's one particular quest line in Ocarina of Time where you trade the masks between people, and you get like one clue, and it could be anybody in the whole game world that you need to go and speak to figure out who to sort of pass their mask off to get the next one, as it were, or sell the mask to and get the next one. Who are you? Get out of my house. Oh my, why are you here? Get out of my house. Wait, hold on. Who are you? Get out of my house. Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry for yelling at you. Please come back and listen to my story. Oh, go on then. I had a very strange dream. It was about my father and someone who looked just like you. My father told me to give his paintbrush to you and tell you all I know. The brush is all I have left from my father, and I hid it somewhere. When you come back to me with that brush, I will tell you all I know. Okay. So again, that's like a bit of a hint. And also, the visual hint, I realised that I'd opened a area of the dungeon that I was previously in that was previously closed. So I wonder why people live in such small houses. Can you believe the village chief was swallowed up in one of the paintings in the house on the hill? Ah, I see. So by giving them the goat's food, you can talk to them, I'm guessing. You have some food from the tool shop. I promise to tell you a secret if you'll give me the food. Oh, okay. Thank you, I'll tell you a secret. If you wish to get inside the painting, you must equip an item which used to belong to the painter and touch the painting. I have other things to attend to, so I'll see you later. Okay. Going inside a painting, this has got Dark Souls vibes all over it. Like Painted World of Ariamis. Or the Ariandel. Ashes of Ariandel DLC. Is there a painted world in Dark Souls 2? I never got to it if there was. So yeah, this is giving 16-bit Dark Souls vibes, you know, with the death is, it doesn't really penalise you for dying actually, but the shortcuts, the going inside a painting, 16-bit Dark Souls, you heard it here first. So yes, this is the thing I think I opened up. Is there one more? Yeah, there is one more. So this is how I get to that bit up here. You know what? It has hooked me. I think I'm going to give this a Leo. That's his brush. I'm going to elevate this from Decent Discovery to Hidden Gem. Come on. Uh-oh. Got ya. Yeah, I've played it for over an hour now, and I'm kind of intrigued to see what this painted world, this painting is all about. So yeah, let's go. In fact, is there a quick way back by talking to this woman down here? Yes, there seems to be. How do I get in there again? Okay, this way. Is it this way? Yes, I think it is. Oh no, it's not. So my experience is 384 and I've only got 7 gems left. That's not great, is it? I keep pressing the wrong button. I've only got 4 gems left, so it uses 3 gems every time. Every time you fire. Once you return with the correct sword, would you like to return to the Grass Valley? No. I want to go back to the Grass Valley, sorry. Please continue. Yeah, okay. So, I've opened up a couple of new areas. No, that can't actually get back to town that way. A couple of new buildings and some new people, I think. So, this was one of the new ones. Since losing my wife to an illness, I noticed a goat hanging around my place. I was so lonely, I decided to keep the goat as a pet. Okay. Just, yeah, sharing. Sharing is caring. And I believe this is another building that's new. Where is it? Oh, actually, if I go in here... So I've not got an item equipped. Can I still talk to the goats? One of the paintings in the house on the hill. Father's paintbrush, I'll now tell you what I know. One day as I returned from shopping I found a note. Lisa pulled out the note and began to read. Lisa, I won't be able to see you for a while. If you have any problems, please see the village chief. Take care of your friends. Turbo the dog, Lue the dolphin, Gnome the snail, and Marie the doll. The animals mentioned in the letter were once my father's pets. I don't understand what he's trying to say though. I know you're a complete stranger, but will you please search for my father? Okay. Yeah, why not? Is there another building that I opened up? I think there was. That's the mill. Is it this one? No, this is the shop. That's the first one I opened up. Maybe I only opened up one building. I could have sworn... Oh no, yeah, there would have been only one. because there was only one lair left available. After I used the dream rod to enter the woman's dream. Okay, maybe this is the one that's opened up the second one. This was painted by Dr. Leo. A strange face has appeared. It's terrifying. What's painted by Dr. Leo? Oh, that painting. Let's see what this plant has got to say. You remember Lisa's dream, right? Have you returned to the place you saw in her dream? Things may be different from when you saw her before. Yeah, you see, I have already. There's a picture of the village chief in the painting. He appears to be sad. Let's get into this painting then, shall we? Do some more Dark Souls. Judga is dragged into the painting. There's no painting guardians. Ooh, so 4. Oh, okay. Juggo released Tulip. Ah, okay. She's going to be difficult to get to. Or at least not obvious to get to. You can't just walk over to her. Oh no. I died. Right, I think that's going to be it for this one. Yeah, I've elevated this to Hidden Gem. I think I might like it more than Terranigma, and possibly, dare I say, more than Illusion of Time. No, I can't say that. It's made a really good first impression, and it's given me stuff to think about. The only caveat with it, calling it a hidden gem, is I could see myself coming back to it, but I couldn't see myself finishing it. But there aren't many Super Nintendo games that I would sit through all the way to completion in 2024, and that comes back to the stuff I was talking about when I was rambling on. But having said that, you never know, stranger things have happened. Chrono Trigger was the last Super Nintendo game, in fact the only Super Nintendo game I have played in the last, I don't know, 20 years or whatever on the Super Nintendo that I sat through and completed all the way through. I really liked Chrono Trigger. Anyway, that'll do it for this episode. Hope you've enjoyed my rambling, and I shall see you guys next time.